Hello and welcome to the Reroll Multiple Martial Arts podcast, where we discuss the intersections between martial arts, society, and culture. I'm Elliot.
I'm Danny.
And today, we want to talk about training during the pandemic. And, I recently came across this image, and it was posted by Southpaw Podcast. Shout out to them. I don't know them, but shout out to them. And they posted on Instagram and Twitter of a logo of Team Renzo Gracie. And it shows Team Renzo Gracie, roll till you drop. And in the middle is a skeleton wearing a gi. The skeleton head is a coronavirus, depicts the coronavirus spikes coming out of the head. And so, this is, I think to people who respect public health, or at least not acknowledge public health officials, what they say, it's a little bit concerning. At least to me, I think that, hey, it's kind of, someone in the comments said that's kind of hilarious in a horrifying way, because, it's kind of funny, haha. These guys are still training, but it's high risk. A lot of these guys are healthy, so it may be asymptomatic and maybe passing to other people. Or hey, there's also like super athletic guys like Kazmat Chimaev and other guys who have been really affected by COVID. I mean, what do you think about all this stuff, D, about training through COVID no matter what? Roll till you drop.
I think it's very interesting. I'm being kind of just like minimalist in my critique by calling it kind of interesting, but it's part of what's the bigger picture. I think as a society, we've been seeing this divide between those of us that really considered COVID-19 as a threat from the beginning, and some of us that were very skeptical of COVID-19 from the beginning, and maybe later on took it more seriously. But some of us stayed there. To this day, there's a lot of people that really just shrug it off. It's like the cold. We're all gonna get sick sometime. And within the jiu-jitsu community or the martial art community in general, COVID-19 affected, or it really influenced the way that people felt about their practice, but also the way that the gym, the dojo, as a business, really got hurt. So that I'm kind of playing this assessment in two ways. One is the practitioner that says, like, this is my art and I'm just going to do it forever. And then there's also the business side, which says, like, I can't afford to close down my shop. So what I need to do is to advertise that I'm open. Not just that I'm open, but I've seen two formats. One where it says we're open and here are the health measures to reduce, transmission of COVID-19. And the second version, we're open because we don't care. We're not going to consent to this scare tactic. And I'm paraphrasing what they're saying. So we're not scared of this thing, and we're going to go through with it. I feel that the jiu-jitsu community and the larger martial art community is just really in line with what is happening all over the world, and more specifically the United States. That we have these pockets of people that just have, I don't know what it is, man, but like just a different take. They don't believe that this is a risk. And if they do believe that it's a risk, they just say, I don't care. My take on it is that sense of concern, because I've been a lifelong practitioner of martial arts. I've been training since I was 13 or so, which puts me at, 35 years or something like that. Like, it's a long time. So I feel this year was very hurtful. I mean, I've expressed it here. Like, it wasn't just frustration that I'm not working out. Like, it was a big part of my life that was missing. So it really injured my sense of well-being. The fact that I couldn't go practice didn't mean that it didn't feel like I was just saying, "Oh, I want to get out and be distracted." It's like something that was part of my life for so long was difficult to stop. So I can see it, and I don't know. I'm just really confused as to which position to accept, because I think I've told you before that like I'm looking forward to going back, but I'm not sure what it will look like to go back, because I got to see, at least online, some of my own circle speak like that. Like, oh, I'm not going to, and they would say things that were very kind of disrespectful toward those of us that were in quarantine. Maybe calling us sheep, and they were the lions. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting rhetoric. Super offensive, but at least as an anthropologist or someone that is versed in anthropology and teaches it and works research on it, I was like, this is just your classic rhetoric. However, as a practitioner, I'm gonna have to contend with that. Going back and maybe being, I don't know how it's gonna be, but I know it should be weird.
Yeah, because in South Korea, there's Team Mad. A lot of pro fighters fight out of that camp. There's a few gyms. One of them, Korean Superboy, and they posted some pictures, and everybody who was rolling was wearing a mask, and I thought that was interesting. Would you wear a mask rolling? I mean, here in the United States, different culture. In Asia, masks have been worn for decades now. It's nothing. It's not political. It's what you wear if you're sick. So, personally, would you roll with a mask?
I think I would not roll at this time. Like, I am still part of that group of people that is not fully vaccinated. I finally received my first vaccine, and I am waiting the second one. And I am concerned for not myself as much as like how I will expose my family members that do not roll. Like, I feel that there's this awkward line of consent. Like, I can take the risk because I just said earlier, like, martial arts is part of my life, but there's people that I love that it's not part of their life, and I'm just going to expose them. So I probably would not at this point. However, I am aware of the procedures or measures that have been put in place by two of the places that I've trained. One is a Muay Thai space, and they use masks and face shields, and they've modified how they spar so they don't do any clinch work at this point. And I see them and I want to go back. I was like, yeah, but I'm still not sure if that's the best thing to do. The jiu-jitsu space that I used to go to, right from the beginning, a year ago, around March, they modified how they were going to train. They said, we're going to create these grids that are about 6 feet apart. You can come, but you can come only with a partner. So create these pods so that you and I, for example, would go and would only train you and I. We would not touch anyone else. And we would disinfect before and after space. That made me feel safe. I was like, yeah, this person is taking it for real,
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not going to do that and just use masks, I would be concerned. I was like, well, let me see how many people am I being exposed to, because I do believe the masks help. But jiu-jitsu is no joke. I mean, it is probably the most intimate of practices. I mean, we're on top of each other. We're breathing. I mean, it's just, and maybe I used the wrong word, intimate, but that was the joke when I was younger. People really, I mean, those that wanted to kind of make fun of it were surprised of how much contact we had and how close we were and how our positions, they were like, why do you have your legs wrapped around that other person? And I was like, because that's called a guard.
So the gym that had the bring your partner policy, are they still doing that? I mean, are you comfortable to do that?
I don't know. I haven't kept up with them. I really just kind of like what happened is that I started feeling that there was a divide, and I just wanted to take a pause. I didn't want to engage, so I didn't want to be part of the sense of like, let's say that someone in my gym posted a meme of like lions and sheep, and it was saying those that are not training are sheep and those that are training are the lions. I was like, I don't want to engage. So I just pulled away, and I'm waiting to come back. I have no clue. I hope that stayed consistent. I feel that that's like the most respectful for everyone, because if you have a space like that, especially as a martial artist, the sensei, the professor, the teacher, there's a lot that goes into that. Like, some of us think of ourselves as just practitioners, and all I do is give you technique. But I don't think the majority of us are like that. The majority of us that were ever close enough to be thought of as a teacher or are professors already, senseis, your job is to take care of your students. And when I say take care of them, I mean in as many ways as you can consider it. Their emotional well-being, their psychological well-being, their physical well-being. So a teacher should never expose their students to injury while training. And I've seen that. In fact, I've been really upset in other circumstances where you put someone that shouldn't be in the ring to spar with someone that is way out of their league, and they get hurt. That's messed up. That person trusted you, and and felt, my sensei thinks I'm ready, but they get wrecked. And that's what I'm speaking about the exposure to COVID-19 right now. If you're running a dojo, I know that at least a few of people that run the dojos that I know, I feel fortunate that they speak like that. They're saying, I want to take care of my dojo, my community, my students. But they're also saying something very real. I need to make a living. I haven't had a paycheck in 2 months.
I mean, if this was a 30-minute mark, I would end it right there. That's a great closure. I mean, because it is that balance, and I want to respect, everybody, how everybody is dealing with the pandemic. And even though there's a light at the end of the tunnel, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and things like the variants and things like that, or a fourth wave here in the States, and it's all so many unknowns. I mean, just a sidetrack about, people who challenge, people who are much more skilled. I mean, you think, totally off topic, but like, Sage Northcutt versus Cosme Alexander. You heard about that in one championship? Yeah, it was from what I read on the internet. Sage Northcutt's dad wanted that fight to happen, but Sage Northcutt's team did not want that to happen. And so we all saw where that happened, right? Sage got, his face bones broken. And now his next fight is against, jiu-jitsu legend, Aoki. And I'm like, dang, all right, let's do it. So it's just kind of funny reading on like comments and stuff like that on the internet. But that's besides the point. With training, it's cool because tomorrow I'm training for the first time with a friend at the park, and I'm really excited. We've been talking about it, texting all week. Like things, what we're gonna do, and just stuff like that. Coordinating which park to go to. Maybe go to a few different parks to see, the vibe and if we like that, like the environment. And so it's kind of it's like a new venture. It's a new excitement for me. Lately, all I've been doing is the only martial arts thing I've been really doing is, just some basic exercises at home. I know I've been a little bit lazy and just watching TV, watching UFC and ONE and Bellator and whatnot, dude. It's just too fun right now on on the big leagues. And thinking about what would I do right now? I mean, you see plane tickets, round trip to Thailand is like $500, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that right now, but I don't want to take that risk. It just seems that this whole year just got a little bit pent up. I'm buying like this shirt right now. It was a discount MMA shirt, and I'm like, yeah, it's one of my favorite fighters, Benson Henderson. All right, I'll all right, for $10 shipped, I'll get it. And it's cool. Benson Henderson, Korean dude. He's mixed. Multi-ethnic guy, but he reps Korea. His identity hard, and I respect that. His mom, I saw, when he was the UFC champ, his mom would be either at home or at the stadium with the Korean flags, waving them, in the crowd. And I thought, wow, that's like so supportive. Like I never see like a immigrant parent be so excited about their kid, like in a situation that can really hurt them. But I know I just kind of like, I just kind of spoke through, with whatever that was through my head. But when would you feel comfortable starting to, roll with other people? Would you start with like a small pod first, maybe like a few close friends, and then start branching out? Is that something that you would do?
That's what I would like to do. In fact, I've started kind of looking at that. Like, for example, I'm lying in about 2 or 3 weeks to get my second vaccine shot. That opens up a level of safety. Not 100%, but it's there. Then I kind of can consider like what it would look like to train with someone who also had their vaccine and that I know feels about COVID-19, how I feel about COVID-19, meaning that like we're concerned, we're careful, we feel we understand that it is not a government conspiracy to keep us in the home, and we're just doing our part to not get COVID-19. And I would love to be able to try that because I've been working around this sense of I don't know how to say it, but I've just been really bummed out. Like that's an understatement. By what I feel has happened this year, so that any gains that I was accumulating up to February 2020, I don't even know how close I am to anything like that. And I say gains because I was never the person that felt I was good, like ever. Like, I mean, and I don't think I have self-esteem issues, but like when I did karate and I had my black belt, I never felt, I would look at the other black belts. I'd be like, I'm not there. I'm not like them. I'm training with them, but those are great practitioners. And I've just kind of tried my best to keep up. But I felt that if I worked hard to train consistently, I could get close to that level of skill set. But if I didn't, it would just go away. In fact, I think my sensei would always talk about that it was like boiling water. He's like, that's all it is. It's like boiling water. As soon as you turn off the heat, the flame, you will see that water cool down immediately. And I really enjoyed that because that's how I felt. I remember going, when I did Shotokan, every summer we would go to Carlsbad and we'd have this international camp. And we would get ready like a month in advance for that camp. And it was trippy because we would get ready even though the camp was insanely intense. So we would get ready to get even more intense. But when I remember coming back, like that week, man, we were just insane. Like that week back, we'd go back to the dojo, and those who didn't go to camp, man, we would just wreck them. But and that's what I felt like. I was like, oh, this is, again, me not thinking I was at the level, but I was like, something happened. I kept up with the training regimen and preparation. I went to camp for 3 days. We trained at least 3 times a day. And then we came back, and the week after, we were faster, stronger. It was ridiculous, sharp. But as soon, literally if I didn't go back, if I took a week off, disappeared. So that's where I'm at right now. It hasn't been a week, Elliot. It's been over a year. So how far back am I now? That's what I'm feeling. And then, as I said earlier, I've been doing martial arts for most of my life since I was 13. And I never did it because I was trying to compete. I did it because it was part of my thing. It just made me a happier person. A more complete person, actually. So then I'm just thinking, like, am I going to be able to deal with that rude awakening when I get back and, like, I'm at white belt level, even though I was a purple belt?
No, you shouldn't. Here's the thing. What I'm hearing a little bit is imposter syndrome, what a lot of people in academia face, and I think it's okay. I think that in my experience, I was thinking about finding other people, like-minded people to train with, who have during the pandemic, and I don't have like a lot of MMA or Muay Thai friends, and those who I did know, they actually moved because to be with their family, and they stopped going to the gym that I went to, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. There's a couple of gyms. Yeah, I could go to the gym, but man, I don't want to risk it, with my family and stuff. And so, yeah, I feel you. One thing is, I've been lazy. There's those jokes of like being in martial arts and then not wanting to run. I feel it so bad. I could run every morning. I don't. I could have done it this morning. I didn't. Well, that's what separates, ordinary from extraordinary, right? I mean, yeah. If you want to get, David Goggins about it, but, but see, part of the gym is being around a lot of people and pushing myself past what I would by myself. And that's what I appreciated. I think about, at the gym, I'm like at the 30-minute mark. I'm like, if I was by myself, I would quit right now. And that's what I've been doing. I do like 30-minute workouts when I do it, once or twice a week, if that, and I'm saying it it's funny because, it's funny because, these things I think a lot of people experience, and, having a partner, like what I'm so excited tomorrow, for my buddy to train with, because, we can push each other. And I think he's been on it. He said he's been running like every other day and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I might get smoked tomorrow. I don't know. But I really hope that, we can start, doing something, if I'm vaccinated, we can take the super big precautions. I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna wear tomorrow. We're gonna wear a surgical mask and then a cloth, something over. So I have a surgical mask, and I'm gonna wear a neck gaiter because it's tighter on my face. And that one. Last year, there was a science experiment, and then people started saying, "Oh, neck gaiters don't work because it, makes the spit smaller and stuff like that." That was actually not what the experiment was about. The experiment was about measuring spit coming out of people's mouths, through different things, but it wasn't to measure it. And even the people who conducted the experiment said, "Yeah, it wasn't about the efficacy of mouth guards, mouth coverings, because the person wearing the neck gaiter talking, it could have been they could have had more spit in their mouth at that time, or phlegm or whatever, and that caused it. But with any mouth covering, it depends on the type of material. So yes, some neck gaiters are super thin and just should be for not pandemic, but some of them are pretty thick and like they're nice. The one I got, I think I have to double it up. It's a little bit thin, not thin. It's like it's regular fabric, but I'm a little bit talky right now. In closing, D, okay, if this year, what are you going to do to are you going to start jogging? Are you a guy to run?
No, I have really bad knees. I think and it is sadly, I think from Shotokan, I had not a bad teacher. I had an old school teacher that was teaching me his style of doing the roundhouse was the one that was used in Okinawa, which kind of didn't pivot. And I think that really messed up my left knee. You're supposed to pivot. There's too much energy, too much torque on that knee like that. But I want to do more. I want to get conditioning as priority. I did convert my garage. Didn't convert, but just cleaned the little section up and put some weights up. And that has been like my go-to, kind of a little bit at a time. But my cardio is in the floor. There's nothing.
Are you going to get the water rowers? Those are nice.
I didn't even know about them. What are they?
Yeah, the water rowers. You've seen them, the people who pull the thing with the seat. But
yes, I know.
But some of them actually have a little water thing, like with water in it, and that's something that I want to do in the future when I have more space and money for a bigger, for a gym dedicated space. It's cool. It's nice.
I think that's the way to go. Get the cardio built up.
Great full body workout, water rower. Man, I would be so into that. I've been also thinking about I've been looking at some Thai videos and people making DIY like punching bags and you hang it on the tree. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $50 to $100 on a bag when I'm just gonna elbow. I'm thinking about doing that too. There's a lot of just little things that it's hard, going to the gym, having a dedicated time, hour and a half at the gym feels so good. I miss it so much talking about it. I just got to start doing cardio. I just got to run. I think that's my, and I have bad knees too. Not bad knees, but I need to take care of my knees for sure.
Yeah, do that. In fact, one of the things I'm thinking about as I hear you speak is that today's conversation was about how do we feel about people kind of having different opinions about training during COVID-19, but I think it's not that far-fetched. I mean, you and I totally understand why people are in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic and still training. I drove by one of the gyms and they had their windows boarded up. Covered up with butcher paper, and they're training in there. They don't want people to see, but I get it. This is the feeling that you and I are sharing is what carries them to really risk their health, and I get it, man.
Well, with that said, this has been the Reroll Multiple Martial Arts podcast, where we discuss the intersection between martial arts society and culture. Until next time, peace.